How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. We are looking at Workhorse, and I'm going to try to put this out as quickly as possible because this was really interesting. And shout out to Rex Finance because I actually saw this on his channel first. But there was some news that kind of came out through an investor presentation, which is really interesting, and it might kind of confirm or just, lead us to think even more bullishly about the fact that Workhorse will get a majority of the USPS contract. This is something that we've been waiting for a long time. And while we didn't get it at the end of September, I think that there are a couple reasons that we really need, and the USPS really needs to announce that contract soon. And I'll do a video on that probably tomorrow, actually, on why they have to do this quickly. Now, before we get into it, I am going to say, please hit the like button. I really appreciate that. It means a lot. Also, if you want 2 free stocks with WeBull, there's just a little bit longer that you can get this 2 free stocks if you deposit $100. After that, they're cutting it down to 1. Also, right now through, I believe it's the 15th, if you sign up 3 other people, you get 15 free stocks, each worth up to $1,600. So if you get 3 different signups, you get 15 of those plus the ones that you got originally. So it's definitely worth looking into if that's something that you're interested in. So thank you guys for that. And let's get into it. Romeo Power is the company that a lot of these EV companies use for their power technology, for their batteries. Now, they came out and said that they were actually going to go public through a SPAC merger with RMG. So they were founded by Tesla, SpaceX engineers. They are pretty important right now. They work with a lot of different big name companies that you'd recognize, and I'll show you some of them here in a moment. But we're not talking about Romeo Power today. We're talking about their investor presentation, which led to some very important insights for Workhorse investors. So if you go to their website, they just updated this on October 5, so Monday. This is the same day that I'm filming this. They had this long presentation for investors, and there's some really important information on here that I want to show you. So again, shout out to Rex Finance for finding this, but there are 3 main slides I think are really important. First of all, they have this slide on secured partnerships and committed revenue in the CV space. So they talk about different companies and how the companies are trying to take their fleets more electric over the coming years. In here, if you look very closely, they say here the USPS is electrifying the majority of its 200,000 vehicle fleet. Well, that's kind of interesting because we know that they're looking at some different options, but really Workhorse is the main electric vehicle right now. One of the other companies has some kind of prototype for an electric, but really Workhorse is the only company that we've seen stated in a lot of different articles that's covering the USPS contract that has an all-electric option for their fleet. So if we look here, trucks.com, this is just a few months ago, they go over some of the different options for this contract, and Mahindra isn't even in it anymore. But Turkey-based Carson is offering a plug-in hybrid engine option. Workhorse is actually offering a fully electric version. And then the next one that is on here, Oshkosh, is using an internal combustion engine that's essentially just a Ford that they are adapting it for the USPS drivers. So that is quite interesting that they would phrase it as electrifying the majority of its 200,000 vehicle fleet. And I think that's pretty interesting because up till now, we just know that they're trying to replace their vehicles. We don't know for sure if they're electrifying it, but this is the only option if they really are electrifying the majority of their vehicles. Now, the next slide that I think is pretty interesting. So it's not just that slide that's making us think that Workhorse got a majority of this contract. The next slide, one of the slides in here, shows a diversified high-quality customer base. You can see everything from Green Power to Nikola to BMW to Workhorse. So, Workhorse is in here, and they've used their batteries before. Also, Oshkosh. So it's kind of interesting. If you remember, they are one of the companies that's in for this bid. But the next slide kind of leads me even to thinking more about Workhorse being the main vehicle in here. And on this slide, Romeo Power at a glance, they show the USPS vehicle. Now, if you notice here, this is Workhorse's version of it. This is one of their vehicles that they've shown before, and they are using it for the USPS vehicle in this picture. Now, I don't know about you, but if I was their company and I knew that Oshkosh was getting the majority of the vehicle contract, I wouldn't be putting Workhorse's version as the USPS version. So those three slides together, between them saying that they are electrifying their fleet, them showing that they're one of the major customer base companies for them, and then also showing them as the USPS vehicle, and this being so updated, it's just today, it's Monday, October 5 that they're putting this out there. I think that's really good news for Workhorse. Now, again, just like everything else, we can't just take this into account. There's a whole list of other things that are really important in here, and different things that are important that we've heard and that have come out over the last couple weeks that make me more bullish on Workhorse. But adding these to the mix of the other, 20 points or so that you can make for Workhorse versus these other vehicles, it's really interesting. I think it's a very good sign. Now, what do I think? Why do I think that this company is releasing this? Well, I think there are a couple different options, or a couple different reasons that this happened. One, which I don't think is very likely, is just that they didn't realize it. They didn't even think about it. They just put it in here because they knew that they were getting some of the contract, and it just went right over their heads that they shouldn't be posting this. Now, I don't think that's very likely, but you never know. I mean, that's something that happens. So I think that could be possible if they didn't put this in three different locations that kind of lead us to think that Workhorse is getting the majority of this contract. The second reason is maybe they didn't have to sign an NDA for some reason. So USPS is very cautious about these companies talking about whether they got the contract or not. They have them sign NDA so that they can't talk about it before when the USPS wants to announce it. It's really up to the USPS right now to announce or to allow the companies to announce the contract. So that's number two, is that for some reason they didn't have to sign an NDA, but usually a lot of the companies that work with these companies, like Workhorse, Oshkosh, would still have to sign one. Number three is maybe they just don't care. I don't know why they wouldn't care, but maybe they don't care. They knew that they were going to do it, but they put it in here anyways. It is interesting though, because again, this is the newest updated information. It's just putting all these different puzzle pieces together, and maybe you can't for sure know the final puzzle piece. You can't know the final picture of the puzzle. But if you start to see everything line up, you can pretty much guess how the last couple puzzle pieces will fit in, and you have to have some faith that they'll actually fit together. So that is where I'm sitting on Workhorse. I want to give you this information as quickly as possible, so hopefully you guys appreciated that. So let me know if you guys are bullish on the stock, if you already heard about this, if this is good news to you or bad news. Again, if you want to use the link down to WeBull, I really appreciate that. It means a lot and helps out the channel a lot, and you can get 2 free stocks again for a limited period of time. Thank you guys. Thank you for hitting the like button, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.